I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Cocktails up here feel just right. Is Cambria amazing? Alright. Bring a date, your team, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com. See you on the roof.
Welcome to the 5 o'clock show. It's time for Common Sense. Now, it's Katz and Cosby with John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby, standing for truth, justice, and the American way, bringing common sense to the world. Now, here's John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby.
Louder, louder, louder. Well, Rita was the star of the show today. She won the Gracie Award, and I saw the pictures. You guys, you look great up there, and congratulations on another Gracie. How many Gracies do you have now?
Well, this is my 11th Gracie, and I'm so honored. The Gracie Awards, of course, they're just the best. They're for women in communications, which is just the best thing because you're voted by your peers. And most importantly, John, it's for Katz and Cosby because Katz and Cosby got top talk show in the country.
I didn't have a dress to wear, so I didn't come.
Oh, you should have.
This is really for women.
You look great in the dress.
I sent Margot.
You did, and I was so happy to see Margot there. It was so beautiful, and Renee and Cooper Lawrence, and we had the gang. It was
chairman
beautiful.
Of Police Athletic League.
Yes.
And me and Craig is the board of directors of Police Athletic League, and George went to the Police Athletic League lunch. Tell us about the Police Athletic League lunch.
John, it was the 27th annual legal professional luncheon. It was a great event, well attended, raised over $850,000 for Pell programs. And we had some great honorees. We had Bob McGuire, the former police commissioner, who was on the board of Pell.
50 years of service.
50 years of service to PAL. And we also had Chauncey Parker, another citizen who's devoted most of his life to public service. Currently, he's the executive director of HIDA, which is the High Intensity Drug Traffic Organization of New York and New Jersey. Both honorees. There was another honoree, Anjan Sani, who was a lawyer in a big firm, but it was well attended. The speeches were great.
It was a great event. Anybody was there. I was sitting next to Jessica Tisch, and she came, she spoke, but she ran out because she has to worry about Thursday. They may have a million people, 2 million people. Nobody really knows.
Maybe 3.
Let's go to
maybe
George
3.
Venizelos, former head of the FBI in New York for 4 years.
Crazy times, people. As we know, a couple of big things have broke today. First was the plot that was disrupted.
Yeah, this is huge.
You had 5 people arrested, 12 people involved.
In other words, they arrested 5 people that were going to attack the White House.
At the UFC event. Yeah. And what's so scary, I think, George, about this particular one, too, guys, is that this was in the planning. Yeah. That they found them on Signal app, the encrypted app. And
one parent turned them in.
Yeah, one of the parents turned him in and said, I'm worried about my son, 19-year-old son, who they said was buying guns, planning it, plotting this.
Yeah.
I mean, this was not like some sort of, sometimes you get these things that are vague. This was specific. And what's so scary, you guys,
and
they were planning.
One of the parents turned them in.
One of the parents said, my son, I'm really worried about my son.
You know why? Because if he would have gotten caught, they would have shot him dead.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
100%. And the thing that's so scary, you guys, is they were planning explosives by drones that they would suddenly hit where the shell was, where the UFC shell was. And then they had a sniper team planning to wait after everybody was running away. This was very orchestrated.
And this is our youth. These are 19-year-olds.
Yes.
That's what's scary about
our future. Our future.
No, come on, guys. Let's tell the truth. We're not Fox and we're not CNN.
Right.
What kind of background are these?
These are right wingers, far right wingers.
Unbelievable.
From where? Where were they from?
Really
All
scary.
over 4 different states. California,
4 different states.
And it was a chat. These are people radicalizing each other over the internet. It's an internet radicalization.
Maybe one of
our
speakers today. We have a load of speakers today.
Yeah. We sure do.
We have Harry Fleischer. We have Victoria Coates. We have John Solomon. We have General Keane, Alan Dershowitz, D.A. Tierney, and James Gagliano.
FBI.
It's an all-star lineup.
One of them might know more. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll see.
You know, another thing
and
broke.
also the B-52.
Yeah, the B-52. Let's talk about this because, John, the crash there at Edwards Air Force Base, eight pilots died. I mean, that's
Let me
what's
tell
so
you something.
scary.
You know, I'm a pilot, 4,000 hours. General Holt is a pilot. I was talking to Greg Kelly. He was a Marine pilot, and something is not right there. You know, Edwards Air Force Base is used for experimental aircraft, and there was 2 Boeing people on that aircraft. There's part of 8. Usually, it's a crew of 5.
Right.
8 people died. And that airplane went down, and there was nothing left of it.
That's what was so scary.
There is something. They're not going to tell us until we dig, and you know who it's going to take to dig. President.
Yeah. What
Because they won't tell anybody else.
I have a question for you, John. How do you read the fact that the wreckage was
Boeing-
like eviscerated? I mean, that was
I don't
shocking.
know. That is. I've never.
And
seen
it was
that
right after
before.
takeoff.
And don't forget. The Boeing B-52 is a fine aircraft.
Right.
It has 8 engines.
Right.
8. It wasn't a fair takeoff, I don't think. Well,
We'll find out.
let
Yeah.
every American out there say, let's find out the truth. And the only guy that might tell you the truth is President Trump.
Wow, that would
My
be big.
opinion.
Wow,
Yeah.
really scary.
Nobody else
Oh.
can tell you.
Yeah.
So sad, really, really scary. And it's a test location, as you guys said, and they were saying they were
Edwards
testing
Air
for
Force Base
radar.
is a test location.
Some radar tests. There were some reports of potential radar, some sort of radar
There was
test.
another test. There was another one that said that there might be alternative fuels. Under the Trump administration, that crap of alternative fuels.
That doesn't sound right. Yes.
Doesn't pass the smell
Right.
test.
Yeah. So let's find out. That is so sad. What a heartbreaking situation.
Is Ira Fleischer on?
Yes, he is. And by the way, tonight, huge news because it's primary night in America, and there's a whole bunch of different primaries that are going to be taking place. The biggies that a lot of people are talking about are, of course, in D.C. and also Georgia, but Alabama, California has a House special one, and also Oklahoma. So who better than Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary? Ari, boy, oh boy, where do you want to start?
What a day. What a day. You know, this potential attack on Washington is really, it's rattling. And the fact that this was not something where normally you read it was an FBI informant who stopped them. They thought they were talking to somebody who was one of them, but he turned out to be an FBI agent. So it was never really going to happen. This was really going to happen. And that is what's so frightening about what they were planning. And by the way, what I've seen about the motive of these would-be attackers, they were anti-billionaire, anti-Elon Musk, anti-Netanyahu, anti-Zionist.
Oh my
So I don't know what that makes their ideology,
Right.
yet, but it sure doesn't sound far right to me.
I was about to say, and the other thing I saw too, they were against some of these data centers. They seemed anti-capitalist. So they, to me, seemed like some almost left the other way.
Yeah, that's what I'm inclined to think when you add up all those things.
There's somebody poisoning our
We'll
kids.
find out.
There's something going on.
You know what's so
Something
scary?
Yeah.
And we were talking about this earlier with George Venizelos here, Ari, from the FBI, is that, to me, the ideology, when you read some of the things that they were saying in this Signal chat, it's almost like they're echoing some of the things you're hearing out from some politicians. And that's frightening, especially on the left.
Yeah, social media is killing us.
Well, and left-wing violence is killing us.
Yeah.
I mean, when you
100%.
look at, with the exception of January 6th, which was a riot, not an insurrection, and it never should have happened, that is the only example you can find of conservatives engaging in anything that even comes close. And there was very limited violence. The left is full of violence. This is how they practice their politics, and it keeps happening on a regular basis, either assassination attempts on Supreme Court justices, members of Congress. It just keeps happening from the left.
Extremism in any direction, Ari, is no good.
Right.
Correct.
All right. Our enemies push extremism on both sides. That's the sad thing. And it's easy to do nowadays.
And it could be foreign influence on both sides.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I think we're going to learn a lot more
whether it's China
about
or
that.
Iran or whoever, there could be foreign. because these individuals that we talk about, I don't want to mention names, these individuals that we talk about, that it's not their money. It's foreign governments that are funneling it through them.
Well, this one doesn't appear to be foreign linked. This one appears to be home cooking. And that should frighten us even more.
Yes.
You know what's scary, Ari, too, and I'm looking at George, is that they believe they got 5 in custody, and apparently they believe there were several dozen on the Signal chat. That's what's so scary, and they're in different states. I mean, this is a well-coordinated, and some of them were coming into town. They busted them on the 10th. The event was on the 14th.
Right.
That doesn't leave a lot of time. Thank goodness the parent turned him in. Thank goodness they were looking at that app.
Hopefully, this is well ongoing. It's an ongoing investigation, and they have to uncover this. They have to go deep in this. That's why, it's nice to get things out. Maybe they wanted to get it out. But sometimes it's better to hold it back and finish the case before you come out with it.
Yeah, but it's better just to get not like the old-fashioned way. Get the news out and get.
Yeah, but sometimes you tip off.
Know what's going on. You know what?
You don't want them to know you're onto them. Sometimes.
On one of the cases, the mother turned in her own son.
Yeah.
So dial whatever the FBI number is. We should be able to tell that to people. It's 911 for local police, and the FBI number, I forget what it was, 800 something.
But it's the see something, say something. You're right. Definitely speak up, because you look at the history. Ari, it really scares me too, because it makes me wonder, we are really headed into such a divisive time that some of this rhetoric that very sadly is out there.
Save America.
We're trying.
Because
we are trying.
They're trying to knock us out.
I agree. And how scary, John. I've never seen it so divided.
Your turn to talk.
And to bring it home, keep your eye on the elections tonight, because it's possible that we're going to have even more socialists get elected into the Congress. I did a little research on this today. In 2017, there were only about 35 members of the Democrat Socialists for America in elected office in the United States. Now, there are 250. Wow. And 3 more socialists could get added to the ranks of Congress, depending what happens in New York elections, primary elections today, which would bring 6 socialists into Congress next session. And there are dozens in state legislatures, mostly focused in New York, Minnesota, Illinois, and Vermont, 5 mayors. In addition to Mondami, you've got the mayor of Seattle, Burlington, Vermont, Richmond, and Irvine, California, socialist mayors. Socialism is on the march inside the Democratic Party. It's going to get tested today in several important primaries, mostly in New York State, New York City. And you talk about polarization. You talk about the days where you used to be able to cut a deal with a Democrat. There's no cutting a deal with AOC. There's no cutting a deal with Rashida Tlaib. This is the problem that makes polarization even worse. And let's hope tonight that the socialists lose in their primaries and the wacky progressives beat the even wackier socialists.
You know what's scary, Ari Fleischer, is like in District of Columbia, they've got the mayor's race there. And that's really frightening, because this woman, she was in they're all fairly progressive. But she stood out. She said, no, she doesn't want curfews. She wants to diminish crimes. I mean, not only is it, to me, crazy rhetoric, it's downright dangerous.
Well, talking about dangerous from this stuff, our favorite Senate candidate, Grant Plattner up in Maine, it's found out now he was a member of a group called the Socialist Rifle Association in Maine. Now, that's not just a group that practices hitting targets. That's a group that practices hitting ideologies. There is a frightening element here on the far left that does not think violence should be ruled out in solving problems. We've seen that in polls of young leftists. They believe that violence is an option for solving political problems.
Yeah, very scary. Craig Eaton.
You know what, Ari? We called it here at WABC when we saw that Mamdani was going to win. We knew that this was going to open the floodgates to all of these DSA candidates around the country. And that's exactly what's happening, because they're saying everything's free buses, free rent, nothing's going to happen. You guys are going to get everything. And these young people jumped on board, and they're going to realize that they're not going to get what they were promised.
That's the thing about Mondami. Mondami is good at moving his mouth. But he's not really good at getting anything else done, is he? So many of his things are just dreams, which of course is what socialism is. It's just dreams. when people try to turn them into reality, they become everybody's nightmare, and they hurt poor people the most. That's who suffers the most under socialism.
And Ari, the other thing too, you talked about the mayors. What about, you got this Homaway guy in New Jersey. Yeah. You've got El Sayed, who's running,
Michigan.
Yes, in Michigan. I mean, you've got some very radical who are hanging around people who say they don't like America. America deserved 9/11. I mean, this Homaway guy, he was the character witness for the blind sheikh. I mean, not only, you can't make it up.
More than a character witness, he was the aide de camp. He was a translator.
Right.
He was in the car. He knew exactly what was going on as it was being planned. And he should have been indicted and he should have been convicted.
By the way, let's not forget voluntary character witness. He stepped up. He wasn't subpoenaed. He said, I can't wait to testify on that guy's behalf who carried out the World Trade Center bombing in 93, who was the mastermind.
Yeah. It all goes back to illegal immigration.
He won, and he's heading to Congress in inner city Philadelphia. A member of the Democrat Socialists of America, a socialist, won his primary. He's heading to Congress. No Republican will win in that district. In Texas, now she got defeated, but she got almost 40% of the vote. There was a Democrat in the primary, in a runoff, who advocated putting Zionists in detention camps. That was her policy, her stated policy. It came out about a week before the election. And so even with people knowing that was what she believed in, she almost got 40% of the vote in a Democratic primary. Thank goodness she was defeated. But when 40% of Democrats in a congressional primary say, I'll vote for the person who says put Zionists in detention centers, what has happened to the Democrat Party?
Yeah.
It is really shocking. And they've come right out, Ari, and essentially said, we'll just take anybody. I mean, they know how bad Plattner is. You could see they're like dodging, like the other day was that Hakeem Jeffries was asked, and he said, let's talk about the Knicks. Final thoughts, Ari.
Yeah, they have a lot of reason to dodge up there. And in Maine, I have a lot of faith in Susan Collins. Just don't forget, she won her last races with 23-point win, 30-point win, and a 9-point win. She is one tough cookie.
Good.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Ari. Thank you so much. And let's go to Victoria Coates, I think, is on now.
Hi, Victoria, former Deputy National Security Advisor under President Trump. Victoria, boy, there's a lot to talk about. Some of these details about the Iran deal just came out like an hour ago. What do you make of it?
Well, yeah, just a little bit to talk about today.
Yeah, just a little bit, right?
No, I kind of want to have the president come out and read the whole deal as he said he was going to today.
By the way, before we go further, John, you and I were talking over the weekend. You got a shout out from the president. You got a big shout out.
Congratulations,
true.
Victoria.
According to President Trump, I'm absolutely fantastic. So I would like you, every time you introduce me, it should be as the absolutely fantastic Victoria
All right,
Coates.
Rita, make sure you
I will do. Where's the applause? Hang on one second. Where's the applause so we can make sure that we're absolutely correct here? Hold on. Here it is for you.
The absolutely fantastic Victoria Coates is coming on.
There she is. The crowd.
It's how I sign all my texts to my children now. They're just like, no, stop, Mom, stop. But no, I mean, what we continue to have is a lot of swirl, a lot of churn about this deal. I think what the president is doing, John, is responding to a lot of your concerns from a couple of weeks ago. This needed to end. The blockade needed to end. And I think that the calculus is on the part of the administration that the damage that's been done to Iran is so severe in terms of the economic damage, the damage to their oil production facilities, the damage to their military, the damage to their nuclear program, that it almost doesn't matter what's in this deal. This is an MOU. The MOUs have been violated 6 ways from Sunday by everybody, including, the Russians with their Bucharest memorandum about Ukraine. This is not a binding document in any way. And so I would look at what the president's done. He's destroyed their military. He's decimated their nuclear program. Their economy is in shambles. They can't recover. The American people are ready to look domestically right now. And, my main concern is Israel. We can get into that. Heading there on Friday, along with your good friend, Sid Rosenberg, for the JNS conference. And But I think we're on a good trajectory, and too many people are freaking out with not a lot of information.
So, Victoria, explain to everybody, and this was the thing I think that President Trump was heralding you about. Explain the difference between this and the Obama JCPOA, because President Trump keeps saying this is not the JCPOA. It is different. And can you explain it for everybody listening?
I can. And unfortunately for Senator Reid, I was also serving in the Senate as Senator Cruz's national security advisor when Senator Reid was one of the great proponents of the JCPOA. And he's indulging in some revisionist history, as is President Obama. The first thing that's different is there's going to be a signing ceremony. And that is a big deal. That is putting the facts of whatever this agreement is out in front of the American people. And the president has talked about sending it up to the Congress for approval. For an MOU, you don't have to do that. For a more binding agreement, you would have to do that. And he is signaling his readiness to send that up to the representatives of the American people. Nobody ever signed the JCPOA. Nobody signed anything. John Kerry didn't sign it. President Obama didn't sign it. No Iranian signed it. It was implemented by the United Nations Security Council, which is not sovereign U.S. law the last time I looked. So that's a huge difference, number one. Difference number two, no pallets of cash, no economic relief up front. The Iranians have to do stuff to get any economic relief. And oh, by the way, the economic relief that's being put out there isn't the kind of relief that took the Iranian economy over $500 billion a year GDP under President Obama and over $400 billion a year GDP under President Biden. This is very minor, what they're talking about releasing, and only after they take material steps. And then the third thing is that nuclear stuff is going to come out of Iran. That never happened under the Obama deal. And under the Obama deal, they had the ability to start creating these very sophisticated centrifuges, which is what our B-2 bombers took out in Midnight Hammer last June. And then we're going to figure out what we're going to do about the nuclear dust. What's the best, sort of path forward with that? It's complicated, it's hard, but the president has signaled he's willing to do it, to get it out of their hands. There are three big things that make this totally, totally different.
Victoria, you talked about the signing. Will Congress play a role in this? I guess my other big question is, what happens in 2028 if it's a different president? Could they just say, okay, we'll rip it up?
Right, that's exactly it. So the MOU is just that. It's a memorandum of agreement. As I was saying, that's not is a final deal. When the president gets to the final deal, when his red lines are met, and it's satisfactory, I would be very enthusiastic about sending that to the Senate to see if we can get it passed as a treaty. And even the exercise of attempting to do that will have value. But even better, Rita, if we can get it passed as a treaty, then it's binding. Then it's not an executive order. It's not some random thing through the UN Security Council. It's something that's essentially passed into U.S. law. If you want to reverse it, you got to get it passed back out. And that is a lot harder to do.
Yeah, but it comes down to who's going to be the president after 28. Because anybody could do anything, and that's it. And
they can't, John. They can't if it's been passed. It's like the NATO treaty. They have to go back to the Congress and get it reversed. They can't strike it the way you can in an executive order. That's why this is important. The president
at that time doesn't want to do anything, and Iran is building up, atomic bombs, and the future president doesn't want to do anything. What are you going to do,
Victoria?
Well, no, I mean, but
silence is golden.
The president will be legally obligated to enforce the deal,
and Congress could hold him accountable, right?
Sure,
exactly.
I'm sure
it would be like President Trump saying, "I'm not going to."
Obligated,
right?
But he wasn't. But the thing is, in this case, it would be like President Trump saying, "I just say I'm not legally obligated to abide by the NATO charter."
Gavin Newsom would say
it. Well, I mean, they might say it, but then we have a whole series of other issues on our hands.
Absolutely.
And I do think,
I just want every listener out there, we got millions of listeners out there, to understand the treaty is only as good as the toughness of the president of the United States.
Well, that is the case, and that is why I think we're going to be talking a whole lot over the next couple of years. I'm actually on the senior management retreat of the Heritage Foundation right now, talking about how we're going to prepare not only for 2026, which is on us obviously in a couple of months, but 2028, and what we can do to try to make this a good election for us, because as with every single election we have, and I think this is a critical point, it's the most important one of our lifetime. Each one is.
Yes, it is.
It's not just one. It's each one.
Yeah, and this is a biggie.
Victoria, we love you, and the President of the United States thinks you're fantastic. What else can we have?
Yeah, I know. And
travel,
your kids do, too.
Travel safe to Israel.
Yeah. Oh,
thank you.
By the way, you should call us from there, Victoria.
If you can.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to.
Thank you so
check
much.
in and we'll figure out a good time.
Thank you.
That'd be great. Have a good
1 o'clock
trip.
in the morning, your time, so don't go to sleep.
Yes, just stay up all night.
Thank you so much. Let's take a break, and we're going to come back with John Solomon.
Always has some big scoops.
This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC. Breaking news, WABC.
And for the big breaking news, let's go right to John Solomon, founder of Just the News. John, what do you got?
Well, we have a mom in Ohio to thank for helping us thwart what could have been a deadly and horrific terror attack on Sunday night at the UFC 250 fight, which was the official kickoff of our 250th Celebration America, the MMA fight on the South Lawn of the White House. 4 days before that, the FBI learned that there were a group of men trying to carry out a terror attack. It was a 2-tiered terror attack. Phase 1, they would send explosive-laden drones into the South Lawn and get people to panic with the explosions, injure people there. Those who fled, they hope would flee into the path of snipers who would be positioned around the city and begin gunning down spectators as they were fleeing the White House. A mom in Ohio suspected her son was up to no good, reached out to the local law enforcement who reached out to the FBI. And that plot, which may involve as many as 23 people around this country, was thwarted in time to allow the UFC event to go on unfazed. But a very harrowing close call.
John, before you go forward, what do you know about the ideology or the motivation?
Very important, talking to a lot of FBI folks about this. So these appear to be sort of semi-conservative, semi-libertarian sort of young people who have a distrust of government, have a little bit of belief in faith, who appear to have been co-opted, maybe by foreign powers, maybe by domestic powers, into sort of a leftist ideology.
Are they from any particular background that we should suspect?
No, there is no foreign involvement yet. But as we know, a lot of times Americans are radicalized and they don't even know they're talking to a Chinese infiltrator or an Iran infiltrator or a Russian or a Cuban. And so the level of sophistication that our enemies have in radicalizing our young people, ISIS, as we've seen many times, but there is some concern that this group had sort of libertarian leanings with some anti-Semitism sprinkled in, and at some point become radicalized, more like the leftist Antifa, and they start to activate toward this plan. Not clear they had all the capabilities to do it, but very clear they were moving towards execution.
They're like a hybrid hate,
Exactly. Hate Inc. That's what we're in the middle of. There's a whole industry creating hate in this world.
What's so scary, and we were talking about this earlier, John, is that that there was this planning. I mean, thank goodness the mother in Ohio, and then they got on the Signal chat, and then they were able to figure out some of these other people. But this was pretty well organized. They had plans when they were going to come into town, and they were, I think, going to stay in Fredericksburg, Maryland, which is right outside of D.C.
Yeah, I think it might have been Fredericksburg, Virginia, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it might have been. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
One of the exurbs of D.C. This was a plot in motion. Whether they had all of the capabilities, we don't know. But when someone gets that far into activation, one, we're grateful for the mom who had the courage to turn in her own son. And then the FBI and local law enforcement worked hand in glove so quickly to unravel this. We've got 5 people in custody. There are 18 more they're trying to track down. These conversations occurred on Signal. They went and got warrants, so they protected people's privacy, did it the right way, and they were able to thwart this attack as best we can tell. And we're going to learn a lot more. The next few days, we expect more arrests and more information to come out. But pretty remarkable just how close we came to another terror attack in America. I think a lot of people are grateful to hear that the system worked the way it was supposed to. Meanwhile, we're starting to learn a lot more about why the FBI and the Justice Department began looking at Governor Newsom and his wife and some of their inside political circle. Tomorrow, we'll have a revelation about how much money Gavin Newsom directed from special interests to his favorite pet projects. It's going to be more than $300 million in special interest. California has this unique ability where a politician can literally solicit someone who's got business before government, say, don't give it to me, give it to my favorite pet project, like my wife's charity or my favorite friend's nonprofit. And so Gavin Newsom was the king of this system, more than $300 million. Tomorrow, we're going to lay out where that money went, how much of it benefited his wife, and who were the payees, who was dropping the money. A lot of people who had business before the Gavin Newsom administration, they were getting the shake from the governor as their business was coming out in the state. We're going to lay all that out tomorrow. So keep an eye on that. Gavin Newsom is trying to portray himself as a victim. Read tomorrow's story. Tell me what you think.
Great.
Wow.
And if he's doing it, other people are doing it too. That's the thing.
Oh, of course.
That's why this is really important to break.
Fraud.
You need to break this.
You were in the FBI for 26 years, 25 years, whatever it was. The amount of fraud going on the last 10 years. And you retired over 10 years ago.
Yeah, John's right. I mean, this is such an important case to show that we can't tolerate this type of fraud. It's killing our country.
Yeah, it is absolutely doing that, and there's a lot of concern about where we go from here. How do we start to unravel this? How do we get back to a culture that when you're in a government position, you serve the people and not you serve your own pecuniary interests? How do we get young people to stop hating America and the people next to them?
You know how you do it, John? I have the answer. Remember the old FBI movies? Somebody has to go to jail.
Yeah.
Nobody in the Democratic Party has gone to jail yet.
Yeah, hold them accountable.
Ultimate panacea.
Yeah.
Tell them where they stop.
I know. Why is that? Why? Let me just ask a basic question. Why is that they haven't? I mean, some stuff looks pretty clear. Yeah. George and John?
It's sad. It's ridiculous.
Hey, John, anything on the horizon? And I'm just going to ask you as a follow-up. Speaking of which, I remember about a week ago we were talking about some of the investigations that are going on, even tied to Victoria Tunzing and Joe. Right? Is there anything tied? Is there anything happening with those?
So I picked up a side job. Not that I was looking to have another job in life. I'm pretty satisfied just being a journalist. But for the next few weeks, I'm working to declassify with a group of great people, get some more information out to the American public. And I think some of this information will fill in the gaps that have kept prosecutors from feeling confident in bringing charges. The deep state and the bureaucracy is very good at hiding the really good stuff that you might build an indictment on or a termination if you're, taking administrative action. I think we're going to be able to get the American people some secrets that they weren't planned on getting. They may not even be ready for some of the revelations. I have to acknowledge that some stuff I've been working on the last few weeks deeply troubles me just how far the system has gone askew. I
understand the president trusts you, and I understand the president has given you a few assignments.
Yeah, we're gonna. I think the end of next week and the beginning of the following, we'll start to show people what truths they've been denied, and I think it might fill in the blanks for some of the prosecution cases that have been missing some of the evidence. They may soon have it, but I'm looking forward to that. And meanwhile, let's keep an eye on Gavin Newsom tomorrow. I think people are going to enjoy this story.
Craig Eaton, real quick.
John, just talking about the fraud, the U.S. Department of Justice just noticed that they filed a lawsuit against Hochul's administration, claiming it rigged bids on an $11 billion Medicaid home care program, allowing a hand-picked company to siphon off millions of taxpayer money.
And how much was the contribution of the Democratic Party?
And they indicted, they were investigating the state health commissioner and the Medicaid director. They're both named in the lawsuit.
Somebody has to go to jail.
Wow.
So
bottom line, guys, somebody has to go to jail.
But the fraud is rampant. You had Minnesota. Look what happened there. You got New York. You got around the country.
Right.
Shameful.
I talked to a fraud investigator who thinks that the tally when the Trump administration is done will be more than $1 trillion of fraud in the last 5 years.
Out of a $2 trillion deficit.
Yeah.
John Solomon, we'll talk to you soon, but the president loves you. Keep doing what you're doing, okay?
Thank you. Love your show, guys.
Thank you, John.
And Rita, the top news of the day?
It's the top news of the day. Here's Rita Cosby.
Well, we were talking about this at the top, guys. The official signing ceremony for the deal reached with Iran is set for Friday. Vice President J.D. Vance told NBC News that all the details related to the deal won't be released until after the ceremony when the next phase of negotiations begin, as we were talking about with Victoria Coates. And also, voters are casting ballots in primary races in 3 states and the District of Columbia today. President Trump's political influence is being tested, including in a Georgia Senate race where he gave a last-minute endorsement to GOP Congressman Mike Collins. And we'll have all the details tonight. We're better than on the Rita Cosby Show because we always have them all there.
We're coming back with General Keane, and General Keane is the best. He has a few good things. Let's take that break.
Sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And we are back. Let's go to General Jack Keane, of course, retired 4-star general, also head of the Institutes of the Study of War and senior strategic analyst at Fox News. And we love him. General Jack Keane, what do you make of these new details that are coming out with this memorandum of understanding that's going to be signed, it looks like, on Friday?
Yeah, well, it looks like we're finally getting a copy of it, and obviously it's much more of a general framework document. I thought there would likely be more details in it. There's, to me, my gut reaction to it is more about what's not in there than what is in it, because there's no reference at all to ballistic missile restrictions or restrictions on support to proxies, enforce compliance, anywhere, anytime inspections in terms of verification, what the intent would be for the nuclear program, other than the Iranians are saying they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. Well, they've been saying that, for 30-something years of the 47 years they've been in existence. At the same time, they're saying that they've been producing a nuclear weapon. So those are empty words. So it's really, as it was advertised, a general framework document, and I was really expecting a little bit more meat on the bone, so to speak, than that. So it's really going to be the next 60 days is going to be telling. And what's been leaking in the media, Rita and John, recently is really, when you think about what was said, is on negotiating positions and some of the concessions that may have already been made in negotiating positions to get this document signed. And certainly Iran was putting out their version of it, which I just completely discarded. But what got my attention yesterday was that media colleagues who I have faith in had sources, significant sources in the White House, who were expressing concerns about the positions that our negotiators were taking to get these concessions, and some of that was quite alarming, and that got a little bit more reaction because of who the sources were, not named, of course, but they were White House officials, who were expressing some concern. It's one thing for Iran to be propagandizing and spinning things, which they always do. It's quite something else.
Yes, it's on both sides of the fence.
People in the administration doing it.
It's happening in Washington and it's happening in Iran. Iran has two sides, and both sides are telling their own story. And the White House has a couple of sides, and they're secretly putting out their own crap.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
The one thing, General, me and you, we tell the truth. That's what's happening.
Yeah, well, a couple of New Yorkers here. That's the way we were raised. The good news is the other New Yorker happens to be president.
Yep. The B-52. Any word on what happened, General?
Say again.
The B-52. What happened?
Did you hear Edwards?
I don't have any knowledge of
all right,
or
leave it alone. Let's move on.
about it.
Next subject.
Yeah. So, General, before we let you go, where is this going to go from here? Because, like you said, there's a lot of vagueness, and the question is the 60-day period that really is going to be the test, right? And it's going to have these verifications. It's going to have the confirmations, and it's going to have anytime inspections. Obviously, it sounds like there's a lot more meat on the bone that needs to be there.
Yeah, for sure, Rita. Well, 60 days, and then the document says that they can negotiate mutually an extension to that, and that'll be where the Iranians are. I mean, look, we've been at negotiations for over 60 days. We went to a ceasefire on April the 8th. The intent was in 2 weeks they would open up the Straits of Hormuz, and that's what motivated us to go to the ceasefire. So here we are, 2 months plus, and now we've finally getting around to opening up the Straits of Hormuz after the document is signed officially on Friday, I think it is, and released. The president said today he's going to take the time and read the 14 points in the document publicly, I guess when he gets home here on Friday, to make certain that everybody understands, what's in the document, given all the different views of what is and what isn't in that document. But yeah, it's the beginning of a process, Rita. When you see, given what these 14 points are, we're a long way from accomplishing the objectives that the president wants to accomplish here with the Iranians. And obviously, my preferred option was to finish what we started and not to go to the ceasefire. But listen, there's no sense dealing with that.
You got some breaking news. Maybe you should tell the general that.
Okay, here's some breaking news. Mike Huckabee. Well, wait a minute. Hang on one second. I want to be careful, just because of the source. Yes. Actually, we'll get back to you on this. Okay, we'll get back to you on this. Okay.
And the other, there's going to be some issues. I think. So we're at the beginning of a process that's going to take some time here for sure. And some tough negotiating is going to take place here. And listen, I still think that it is a likelihood that we will go back to some measure of combat operations. And why do I say that? Well, just last week, the president executed 2 bombing missions, one each night, a number of attacks each night to force what? To force the Iranians into making this deal with the General Framework Agreement.
I heard
and he was
we knocked
threatening the
out some
third.
majors and some colonels from the from the Iranian force.
Yeah. So there's going to be some pushback from the Iranians here. Listen, we know who the Iranians are. You can't trust them. And I know there's people thinking that maybe they're going to change their behavior because of all the pressure on them. I don't think that's going to happen whatsoever. They're going to see what we're doing here is something of a victory for themselves because the war is not continuing. Shutting down the straits, they got a ceasefire. Now they're moving towards a final agreement, and they're going to delay that as much as possible, believing that the closer we get to the midterms, the less likelihood the president would return to military operations. I think that's unfounded based on the evidence that he displayed last week, and they miscalculated time and time again about him, in my view. But nonetheless, I mean, there's some tough work ahead to get out of here. Clearly, what the president wants into his maximalist objectives achieved here. The Iranians will arm twist us against doing that, for sure, and they will drag out the process, for sure.
Well, I trust the president, General. I do trust the president, and he's one smart guy, and he's a deal maker, and But I am sure he is not afraid to go in there and kick butt again. And he's not going to kick civilian butt. He's going to kick the butt of the Iranian force.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. and he has said as much, John.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
General, thank you so much. General Jackeen, thank you. We appreciate it so much.
Let's go to Alan Dershowitz.
Yeah, great talking to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. And let's go to Professor Alan Dershowitz. Professor Dershowitz, really quick, your thoughts about where this is headed with Iran.
I wish I knew. Even Marco Rubio seems to be has some concern about it. The head of the CIA has some concern about it. They know what's in it. We don't know what's in it. But when people who know what's in it have concern, that worries me deeply. It worries me deeply that the president was understandably interested in getting a deal and making sure, as he said over and over again, that the deal will preclude Iran from ever developing or getting nuclear weapons. But, I worry it will. The money that Iran will get, these billions and billions of dollars, will go directly to Hezbollah because they don't feed their own people. They don't use the money to educate their people. They use their money only to support terrorism. And we're going to have more and more of what almost happened at the White House the other night when terrorists tried to disrupt the president's birthday. And we're going to see Iranian money being poured into terrorist cells in the United States and around the world. So I'm worried, but again, I don't want to come to any firm conclusions until I see the memorandum of understanding, but more importantly, whatever deal ultimately results. Obama says this is going to be worse than his deal. I can't imagine anything being worse than Obama's deal. Under Obama's deal, much of it would have expired already, and Iran would have been lawfully on the road to developing nuclear arsenals. So I don't think it could be worse, but let's hope it's a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. And the president, listen, he's already sent a message loud and clear by force and says he would do it again. Let's see what happens. Before, another thing I want to ask you, Professor Dershowitz, did you see what happened with this Cornell student? I couldn't believe this. Unbelievable. This Cornell student. Right. I want to explain to everybody what it is, Professor, because it's sure. That he was applying for a job as an internship with a Jewish startup. It was a startup. Then he finds out the bosses were Jews, and he writes back, literally in writing, says, "I will not work for Jews." And then he said, and I'm standing firm. I'm standing for what's right. It is frightening. A young person feels that's the thing, and publicly out there saying, "I will not work for Jews." How dare he?
Well, it sounds like something that could have happened in Mississippi in the 1940s when a white person said, "I wouldn't work for a black person." And that would have been accepted in Mississippi, and it's probably accepted in Mamdani's New York. Whether it's accepted in Hochul's New York, she's the governor, and Cornell is in New York State, not in New York City. But a student who will not work for a Jew or a black should be expelled. Will he not take a class from a Jew? Will he not sit next to a Jew in class? Will he not work side by side with a Jew on an assignment? I mean, this is just blatant anti-Semitism of the kind that we saw in Nazi Germany in 1932. So this student has no place at Cornell, and he should be expelled, and he should be treated the same way he'd be treated if he said that about blacks. And we know what would happen if a student said he wouldn't work for a black man. Of course he'd be expelled.
Yeah, of course. No doubt about it.
Professor Dershowitz, thank you for coming on, and we love you.
Always a pleasure.
Keep fighting for America.
Yeah, thank you, Professor.
I will do that, and you too. Thank you.
We are. We fight side by side.
100%. And tomorrow's a big day,
yes,
obviously.
Tomorrow is a big day in Suffolk County. The Giglio.
The Gilgo Beach.
Gilgo Beach.
The sentencing for, of course, let's find out what happens with Rex Heuermann. And of course, let's talk to the prosecutor, the one who put the whole case together and really cracked down and solved this case that was decades-long case and such a horrific one. And we have District Attorney Ray Tierney now joining us. Mr. District Attorney, it's so great to have you here. Tell us, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow?
Well, thanks for having me. I think, the defendant is going to be sentenced. He's going to be sentenced to the bargain for disposition is the maximum sentence allowed under New York state law. And a real interesting aspect of the case is this will be the first. There's 8 victims in the case, 8 murder victims, and this will be the first time that those family members will have the opportunity to address the court with regard to the case for the first time. And, the first murder in this case happened in 1993. So this is a long time coming for these victims and their families.
Wow, that is going to be so powerful, Mr. District Attorney, for them to be there and to address the court. I can't imagine. It's going to be extremely emotional. He also, he admitted to another one, right? Didn't he admit to another one that maybe makes the 8? But that was so bizarre.
Yes, we charged him with 7, and then as part of his plea, he took responsibility for an 8th, and that benefits him because he gets coverage for that case under the plea. So we won't be able to charge him if we were to later develop information that he in fact committed the case.
Is there any information that somebody else knew or was aware? Is there anybody peripherally that's sort of been attached to this case that you discovered along the way? Even a family member or anybody?
No evidence, and it stands to reason that the way the first case, these 8 cases spanning between 1993 to 2010, they were not solved till 2024, and the way things stay secret for that long is you don't tell other people. So not only do we not have any evidence, we don't believe anyone else knew what this defendant was up to.
You obviously met the defendant. You've dealt with the defendant. You've seen him. Tell us about this guy, because he's sort of like it's really a nightmare, a living nightmare.
Yeah, well, I think he's narcissistic, self-centered, and he is really cares only about himself, and I don't think that he had too much problems, stalking and identifying and luring these women into Nassau County and murdering them.
Wow. It's absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. Well, I'm glad that justice is going to at least be served. And thank goodness you pulled this case together. And thank goodness the family members, too, will at least be able to be there, because hopefully that'll help somewhat with the healing, although there's never a full circle given the loss they went through.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Ray, very, very much.
Well, DA, thank you for everything you've done in Suffolk County. And living out there part-time, I feel safer in Suffolk County with you putting away the criminals.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, John. We love having you, and thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you so much.
Let's take a break right now, and then we're going to come back with
James Galliano.
And we'll see what other information.
The judge's favorite mayor. He's got some big stuff on the plot that was thwarted. We're going to talk about that and a lot more.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And a big bust today, and everybody learning about this plot against the White House. How scary. President Trump's birthday, the UFC event, the world was watching, and it turns out there was a big plot that was in the works for a mass attack. And thank goodness it was thwarted. Well, who better to talk about it than former FBI Supervisory Special Agent James Galliano. James, it's Rita and John and Judge, and we also have George Venizelos here, too. Fill us in. How do you read this? And thank goodness that the mother spoke out, but what were some of the other things, and how concerned should we be of these threats that seem to keep happening, especially targeted to our president?
Rita and team, I feel like it's a dream team today. So I'm so happy to join you guys. I love it. As long as my judge is there and George is there, I know you guys are in good hands.
My favorite mayor, good to have you back.
I was waiting for that. The judge is slow.
You made the judge's day.
He usually says that within 5 seconds.
Believe me, it's the highlight of my day.
4 minutes to go.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm speaking to Judge and George because I read the 10-page complaint. This is chilling. Let me just say this. This was a sloppy, rudimentary plan. And those kind of plans, as George Venizelos can tell you, can often work. This started March 1st, about 3.5 months ago. And if not for the fact that a mother came forward, as John Solomon reported earlier, and turned her son in, this very well could have been a problem. Why? We're dealing with this with drones now. Drones, they're not military grade anymore. They're used at the civilian level. And the fact that they were going to use drones to drop explosives on a party at the White House for our 250-year anniversary with 4,000 people in attendance, and then planned a secondary attack involving sniper rifles when everybody was trying to squeeze out through the ingress and egress points. This was truly chilling.
Truly chilling. And what do you know? What do we know about the background of these? Like, we know the mom turned in, it was her 19-year-old son. Do we know, was there any criminal history or how they got radicalized, or how did this all sort of come together?
No criminal history. The gentleman that was charged in the complaint is Tyson Proper. There are about 23 people involved in this across 4 or 5 states. The FBI have about 4 of them in custody. They'll get all of them. There's a bolo. Be on the lookout. They'll get all these folks. But no, this person that was arrested, and obviously the person named in the complaint, was a young radicalized person. And Rita, to your point, we're seeing this over and over. One of the guys that was involved in the San Diego mosque shooting, 17 years old. The other one involved, 19 years old. Again, a mother turned them in. Obviously, it was too late. 3 people were killed. Every one of these assassination attempts, assassination culture, all of these attacks of recent are involving young people radicalized on the internet.
How about also, like, remember outside of Gracie Mansion, the mayor's home in New York? Remember, there were teenagers there too, and they didn't know each other. And then they suddenly said, okay, they met online and came to New York, and they threw explosives at the crowd.
Bucks County, Pennsylvania, an 18 and 20-year-old. Yes, this has become an epidemic. These kids, and when I say kids, this is a 19-year-old young man that was just charged, and the feds are going to bring superseding indictments. There'll be terrorism charges that'll be leveled probably in this week, and if not in the next couple of days. But these folks, young people that were working with former military folks and part of an anti-government group. And as George was talking about earlier, the blurring of lines here between extreme right and extreme left. We dealt with sovereign citizens. They were folks that said the government has no say over us, just leave us alone. This new group of extremists, these anti-government folks, say we're going to take the fight to the government, and that's the part that's chilling.
Yeah, they seem to have an anti-government gripe, anti-capitalist, right?
Anti-millionaires, billionaires.
Yeah, anti-millionaires, it's this sort of like very virulent and we use the phrase Antifa. That was one thing that John Solomon, the ones that you see at all these protests where things get out of hand.
We still have to know the definition of Antifa. I mean, that's why. What is their background? I mean, I don't know.
James, kind of explain. I mean, it's anti-fascist, but what is right?
Indians, Pakistanis.
Yeah.
Well, these are at their core anarchists. They are nihilists. They want to see society devolve into, especially a democracy, exactly what Russia and what the old Soviet Union and the communist countries used to wish for, that democracy would fail here so they could convince their people that experiment in the United States that's gone on for 250 years, it's not going to work. This issue right now, though, with these anti-government groups, it's funny how whether it's the left or the right, they're always rooted in anti-Semitism. Again, the people that were targeted at this event this weekend at the White House, they were targeted for taking money from AIPAC. That is a huge problem in our country, whichever side of the ideological spectrum you fall down.
Yeah, the rhetoric was chilling. It's like a lot of the protests that we've seen. Wow.
What do we all stand for?
Truth, justice, and the American way.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks,
and
Jim.
now we have to go into Mark Levin, and he is already in progress.
Thanks for listening to Cats and Cosby with John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. You can hear Cats and Cosby weekdays at 5. It's the 5 o'clock show on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?